What's going on, guys? It's Tyler. Wanted to go over today the single best way as a beginning real estate investor to buy your first property and basically have someone else pay your mortgage every month. But before we go over that, remember to like, subscribe to the channel. Helps other people find these videos and kind of get the word out. And I really appreciate it. So the best way to get into your first rental property, basically have someone else pay your mortgage, it's called house hacking. So what you want to do is buy a multifamily property under 4 units, so 2, 3, 4 units, and live in one of the units and rent out the other couple. That way, essentially, you have the income coming in from the rental property, but it's still something you can buy typically with a first-time home buyer loan, low down payment, no down payment type of loan. And most of the time, if you do your numbers right, you can basically have all your expenses covered by the rent, and basically you don't have to put anything towards the mortgage every month, and you're essentially living for free, as well as building equity in a rental property that you can kind of use down the road. So how do you get started? The first thing to do is obviously pre-qualify for a loan. Look into FHA, low down payment conventional stuff. VA loans are all eligible. USDA loans won't let you do it. They won't let you do multifamily. But again, any of the first-time homebuyer stuff typically will do a under 4 unit property. Over 4 units, they basically consider investment property or commercial property. But under 4 still is residential. It can be done again with pretty much any of the loan programs. So see what you qualify for a loan. You'll see what's going to work for your situation as far as where you're shopping and everything. So I know you're thinking right now, I don't have a ton of money to put towards, buying a huge investment property, spending, whatever, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on a property. And you typically don't have to. Again, it depends on your area. It depends what things you're going for. But you'd be surprised how much, 3, 4 unit properties go for compared to, a single family property. Again, depends on the area, depends on the market and, everything else. But again, do some research on it. I think you'd be surprised at what you can get into for a fairly reasonable price. So how to get started? Again, like we talked about, you want to pre-qualify for a loan, see what you qualify for. Again, you're going to want to, think about the projected rents and see if that's something that's going to help you qualify for more or something you need. But once you maybe get an FHA, conventional pre-approval, you can go up to $300,000, $250,000, whatever it is. You want to start running some numbers. So you can ask for a realtor that might have some knowledge in this, but really you can do it on your own, and you don't need a lot of experience. I'm actually going to link a video to Graham Stephan. He actually did a pretty good breakdown of how to look at your first rental property, how to break down expenses, how to calculate payments. And I'm going to go through some of that here in a minute. But again, he takes you through the whole process and kind of helps you, get a good base understanding of the numbers you're going to be running and how to kind of look at this stuff. So take a look at Graham's channel down below. So the way we're going to take a look at this is just a basic FHA loan. I'm just going to do a quick search for 3 or 4 unit buildings. I'm trying to find something that already has some rent, either projections or actual rents, like what they're actually rented out for at the moment, just to make these calculations easy. And again, disclaimer: the areas I look in actually are pretty good for this sort of thing. So these numbers might look a little better than they might in your area, but again, it's about doing your research, finding a property that's going to cash flow, that's going to have enough rent coming in, that's going to make sense. Or again, maybe you're just finding something that half your mortgage is going to be covered. Or again, you just have to kind of find a property that's going to work for what you're trying to do. And again, the areas that I'm going to kind of show you are a little good for this. It's high rent, not the best areas to live in, but the properties are actually fairly inexpensive. So take that with a grain of salt. But this is just to kind of show you the kind of process to look at. So this property I found in Biddeford, Maine. It's going for about $300,000. The rents are pretty good. It's showing it's a 4 unit. It's got 2 bedroom, 1 bath units and 2 1 bedroom, 1 bath units. So 6 bedrooms, 4 baths at this 4 unit building in Biddeford. 4 units are already rented out. They're showing the actual rents right now. They're saying they're below market rent, so take that with a grain of salt, but at least they are rented out. You have a good rental number to go off. Maybe it means in the future you might be able to get a little more out of them, but let's go with what they're currently rented out for. So $1,180 on the biggest unit, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Another 2-bedroom, 1-bath for $900. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath for $825, and one for $675. So my way of looking at this is you're going to move into the cheapest unit. You're going to get, you're doing this as sort of an investment. You're trying to get your costs covered. You'll move into the one that is getting the least amount of money. Probably it's the one that's the most beat up, but that means when you move in, and we'll talk about this, but that means when you move in, you can do some repairs, improve the value of that unit, and then kind of go from there. So we're going to calculate the mortgage, and I use mortgagecalculator.com, just did some simple calculations. So we're using a $300,000 purchase price. It's listed for $299,999, but same difference. So we're going to use an FHA loan, which requires 3.5% down. So you're putting $10,500 down, and we're going to assume some payments for homeowners insurance and taxes. It didn't give us really much of an estimate online, but I know the area decently well. So we're going to assume about $250 a month in taxes, $100 a month in homeowners insurance, and there is PMI. This is an FHA loan, which is one of the highest PMI loans you can get at 0.85%. So that adds about $200 a month to your mortgage. So the total payment with all of that is $2,021.92. So, pretty substantial payment, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Obviously, that's not what you want to be paying every month for a mortgage, more than likely. But these numbers start making more sense once you start looking at everything. So we talked about the 4 units that were rented out, and we're going to exclude the $675. So the one rented out for $1,180, one rented out for $900, one rented out for $825. That gives you a total of $2,905 in gross rents. So just looking at the rent versus the mortgage, you have about $900 you're netting between what your rents are going to be, excluding the unit you're going to live in, and your mortgage. So sounds like a great deal. $900 worth of wiggle room in there. That's, you could have a vacancy and you could be compensating pretty well. But there's a couple things we want to compensate for. The thing in the listing is they are including heat and water into that rental payment. So the tenants aren't paying those separately, they're included, so they're on your tab essentially. So let's compensate for those a little bit. So I'm going to try to be pretty aggressive with these numbers actually. I want to make you understand that you can really find a good deal with these sort of things. Again, just depends on looking for the right one. I'm going to assume about $250 a month in heat, let's say $150 a month in water, and that's really all the expenses that you have to be concerned about as far as just the apartments. The other things to compensate for, and you're doing this if you're going to live there or not, are vacancies. So someone might break the lease, someone might leave, and you can't find someone to get in there for a month or two. So you want to compensate for that. So we're going to assume $200 a month for vacancy and another $200 a month for repairs. So you're going to be doing repairs to the unit you're in. And actually this is more for, big stuff happens. If the roof needs repairs, you need a new furnace, you need pipes burst, and you need to do a bunch of work like that. So this is basically, you're going to keep a separate savings account or checking account specifically for this building and be saving this stuff up every month. You don't want to be just spending the extra cash you're getting from it. You want to be kind of building up a nest egg just in case these big things happen, and they do. Again, 20 years down the road, you need a new roof. It's going to cost you 15 grand. You want to have that money saved up. So this is just kind of, compensating for all that and making sure the numbers, make sense. So basically, using all these fairly aggressive estimates, you are living in a unit rent-free. All of your mortgage is being paid for, as well as the oil, as well as the water bill, and as well as potentially your internet or your electricity. Or you can just put that $80 a month in that savings account for the repairs and stuff that'll come up. But you're compensating for vacancy and repairs. You're this is a very, very, safe investment. This particular property, again, is, and like I said, this area nets pretty well. But, when you run those numbers and how conservative you're being with it, it makes a lot of sense. And this is where things can really start kind of building the longer you're there. So like we talked about before, you're living in one of the units. You want to be fixing it up. More than likely you're living in probably the cheapest, smallest unit to start. Doing little things here and there, fixing it up, repainting, upgrading, redoing the floors, redoing the kitchen, stuff like that that's going to add value. So by the time you move out, maybe one of the units goes vacant 2 years from when you move in. Your unit you've been living in is fully updated. You've spent, a couple $1,000, $5,000 as far as getting it, in great condition and probably upping the value $200 or $300 a month. So you move into the next, unit. You rent out the one you were in, making a couple extra $100 a month, still having your mortgage covered, as well as netting a little bit more. Do the same thing, couple years, move into the next one, move into the next one. Be conservative, say 10 years down the road. You have done all 4 units. They're all totally up to date, totally upgraded, nice, and you have some good equity in the property. Refinance and do it again. You can do a cash out refinance or convert it to a conventional loan. You might have the equity in it at that point. Get rid of your mortgage insurance. That's an extra $200 a month you're netting out of it. Get another FHA loan. Maybe you have the down payment at that point, or maybe you've just, been saving up a little bit. Again, if you do this 2 or 3 times, by the time you're 40, 50 years old, you can, have 3 cash flowing units netting 5, 6, 7, $1,000 a month. And, that's basically passive income you don't have to worry about. So again, this is basically a long-term investment plan with a lot of short-term benefits. So take it whatever way you want to, but it's the best way really to get started with your first rental property. Start building some equity, build a passive income that down the road you're not going to have to worry about. So take a look into it, run some numbers, just check out Realtor, Zillow, or Redfin, one of those free real estate sites. Run some numbers in your area. Take a look at some areas you want to live in, surrounding you 10 or 15 minutes away, and see if there's any properties that make sense. So guys, let me know below in the comments, how do you intend to get into real estate this year? You're going to maybe buy a new house, look into a house hack, maybe even try a flip. Let me know and how you want to and what your kind of investment strategies are. Again, hopefully some of you found this helpful. This is definitely what I'd recommend, especially as a first-time investor, even first-time home buyer, how to get into something and basically, build equity, get your rent paid, and get the ball rolling as far as a future real estate and, investment kind of strategy. So hope to talk to you guys soon. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Love making videos like this. Y'all have a great day.